Let me go across to our panelists today. Joining us on the show, we have Daniel Carmon, a former Israeli ambassador to India. We also have Burzine Waghmar from the Center for Iranian Studies at SOAS, University of London. I'm going to come to you first, Ambassador Carmon, because it's important for us to understand the kind of escalation that we have seen since last night. And it seems that no side is willing to relent. How will this end? And if it is going to drag out, because you already have Iran warning Israel that if you dare retaliate, you are going to feel a pain much worse. You have Israel, which is saying that we are going to make sure that Iran is in pain at a time, whatever and whenever of our own choosing. This kind of escalation, the war of words, also backed with ballistic attacks which are happening, where does it go from here onwards?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Will it go? It depends on the activity of the various players. I saw the list of countries that you enumerated for and against. I don't know how precise it is, but I was amazed to see the red. Looking at the countries, some of them are home to terrorism. Lebanon is the place conquered, or at least South Lebanon conquered, occupied by Hezbollah. Yemen with the Houthis, which endanger maritime transport. Gaza, which is not a country, but it's a stronghold of terrorism by Hamas. I mean, it's amazing to see who is backing, according to you, the other side. Now, where will it go? We don't know. But what should be done, I think, what should be done in this stage, after this very, very complicated escalation, which did not start yesterday. Yesterday was a peak. And we're talking about a year in which Israel is confronting 7 different fronts. 7 fronts, can you imagine? So what happened yesterday was a deterioration, an escalation, 181 ballistic missiles, very dangerous. Hopefully, any interception by Israeli technology was fine. I would not react seeing the damage here and there. The damage is zero. It's null compared to the number of ballistic missiles launched by a member state of the United Nations towards another member state. It's unbelievable, really unbelievable, very complicated. And Iran, and I, agree 100% with our government on this one, on this thing. Israel will have to retaliate or to answer. This cannot be unanswered, and Iran must pay a very heavy price for its attack on Israel. I wouldn't go as far as talking about a world war, but Iran will pay for what it did. It was warned by the international community. It did not listen to the international community. 10 million people within Israel yesterday were in shelters, including myself. I'm now in the shelter. Right. And this cannot happen again.
But I think one thing that all of us can agree upon is how little United Nations has managed to do to ensure peace and stability in the region. But Burzine Waghmar, I'd like to come to you because as we were just speaking to the ambassador, he says the ones which are marked in red, I'm going to put back that map on our screen so that our viewers can also see it. The ones marked in red, some of the biggest question marks are going to be on Russia as well as China. A lot will depend on how these 2 nations deem fit to react in the coming days, isn't it, to ensure that there is de-escalation or perhaps even escalation, depending on their decisions strategically.
Good afternoon from London. Ambassador Carmon, Meghna, I'm glad you put that on because I would like to start, Ambassador Carmon, with what happened yesterday, as you mentioned, and this needs to be brought to everyone's notice. 2 salient developments overnight, Meghna. Firstly, Germany has summoned the Iranian ambassador in Berlin, who is in absentia, but the Charge d'Affaires was summoned over Iran's actions last evening. Right. And also, Yesterday in Germany, Ambassador Carmon, a fifth Chinese national was arrested. Four are already been apprehended over a Chinese spy ring with reference to checking Leipzig airport aircraft and cargo operations movements, which is the headquarters for Aerologic and DHL Deutsche Post freighter operations. But apart from that, to check on US military dispatches to Israel. And this was a Chinese national who was caught in a sting operation. Four already have been apprehended, I must point out, and also spying on a German armament company, Rheinmetall. So that's one development from Germany, Meghna. And the second one is that Secretary Austin has instructed the USS Harry Truman also to sail to the Mediterranean, a second aircraft carrier which will join the region, to the USS Abraham Lincoln, which, as I'm on air, is east of the Gulf of Aden, patrolling the Arabian Sea with the Houthi rebels and what they've been up to. Both of them are going to be deployed in the Mediterranean. And of course, we have the US CENTCOM Fifth Fleet in Bahrain, permanently stationed at Mina Salman, Bahrain, which will also, I see, come into effect, given that Iran's time-honored tactics of intercepting and disrupting global shipping will take place in the Persian Gulf through the Straits of Hormuz. So that gives you an idea of what has happened overnight, as I pointed out. And yes, you may see the Arab street cheering in certain quarters like in Lebanon and Gaza. But the stunning silence of the GCC states, Abu Dhabi, Riyadh, Bahrain, Muscat, and Doha, is also something telling in that they do not share Iran's enthusiasm because Iran is flexing itself as a regional hegemon. And Turkey's reactions of Erdogan are historic also because he is carving for space to get Muslim loyalties, global Muslim loyalties from the Ummah. That needs to be factored in. So it's not just a question of talking about the Lebanese or solidarity with the Palestinians. These are regimes who have their own Muslim access to grind and internal politics and vying for Muslim loyalties in what are essentially, quite frankly, discredited regimes. Turkey is anything. Turkey is a semi-authoritarian quasi-democracy. Iran is a police state and a theocracy which murders and maims its own citizens. So the fact that it wants to murder and maim Ukrainians by supplying Shahed 136 drones to Russia isn't surprising, or it wants to eliminate Jews, which has been a raison.
So there are going to be sectarian, political, as well as economic reasons, which may be the decider.
But also ideological, because since the 79 revolution, Iran is wedded to eliminationist anti-Semitism and decimating the Jewish state. That is a raison d'etre of the regime since 1979, besides its anti-Western hostility and posturing.